co-founder, and you're a longtime SaRA supporter, even though SaRA's only been here a short period of time. Martin, you and I have been talking about this a long time, so I'm glad to battle in this battle with you, and you're one of the original warriors. I want to ask just a few questions about your purpose for SaRA. Let me just start off, though, before we get there. We know where you are now, because we've done interviews before, okay? You're the CEO of Iris. You're one of the most forward-thinking CEOs I know in the power, in the reliability, in the sustainability, you name it all. Where were you when you started? When you really start as a practitioner, what were you doing? And first of all, I want to know if you made a mistake and did you get fired for it or whatever. But talk a little bit about your early life as a practitioner.
Well, I was in the British Army. So I joined the British Army. I was 17. Knew everything, the smartest person in the world.
Right.
After about 2 minutes in the army, you learn you know nothing. And you're not the toughest bloke in the room either. You find that one out very quickly as well. So, but it gave me, so I was always a bright kid. I was just stupid, you know what I mean? That just a rebel without a clue sort of thing. But so the army really squared me away, did me a favour. I joined a regiment called the Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineers, REME, as a vehicle mechanic. You know what I mean? So I went in there and so I learned from the military that common sense approach to engineering. You know what I mean? It was like more of an artisan approach. You find any way to fix it, et cetera, et cetera. And you do maintenance in the most extreme circumstances imaginable. So that gives you a really good grounding. I spent about 16, 17 years in the British Army. Came out and I went to work for a research and development company called Ricardo's on automotive research and development. Really got on well there, got really into it, and we started having a lot of problems with certain things, and we were using thermocouples to measure surface temperature of manifolds, etc. Building these CAE models, and in the early days, I mean, this is 20, 30 years ago, for God's sake, a long time ago now. But what we've seen was that these manifolds were cracking, so someone said, why don't we try a thermal imaging camera? Well, I'd never, apart from Predator, I didn't know what thermal imaging was. So they brought this company in there, this specialist infrared camera, looked at the manifold, and obviously with thermocouples, you can only put so many on. Infrared camera has hundreds of thousands of temperature measurement points. Yeah, but it's like a couple of hundred. So we took the data from the infrared image, fed it into the CAE model, and lo and behold, the model started cracking exactly as we seen on the engine. And I was sold. I thought, this is great. You know what I mean? Came home that night actually to Deborah, and I went, I've just seen this great bit of equipment. I'd love to get one. She's like, okay. Well, that's Deborah.
That's it.
She sort of puts up with a lot, but and then so I fell in love with thermography because of its common sense applications. I then bought the equipment, started doing a lot of R&D stuff. We're still in the automotive as a specialist contractor, but then seeing it was the early days of facilities maintenance using vibration they've used for years, but then getting into thermography and ultrasound and all of that. So I opened a service business in London where we were doing a lot of this sort of specialist condition-based monitoring. Because I was doing a lot of electrical stuff, one of the biggest problems for thermography in the early days was actually getting into the equipment. And I've seen clients were actually paying more to have the covers removed for fully energized to enable me to do 20 minutes worth of work. It would be like 10 hours worth of planning and panel remove and everything else. So there were windows being used in the early days. I started using those, but they were fraught with issues. They were cracked, there were crystals and all sorts of things. So then I designed a specialist lens. I sort of looked at polymers and I went, they don't break. Let's try using those. And then I found that wasn't even a simple premise. So, I went through a gazillion different types of polymers and iterations and designs. But I came up with a design of an inspection window that works. I still have those patents today. And basically that was the birth of Iris, I suppose. We started making more windows and that became our core business, the inspection of this lock. And then we were selling in America and then it was like, well, the US is by far the largest market for condition monitoring in the world anyway, especially back then. I said to Deborah, we've got to move to America if we're going to make this work. She went, hey, Tom.
She is a lovely woman who lets you pretty much do what you need or want to do. And we're going to talk, and we're going to create another interview that we're going to talk about Iris today, because there's a lot going on there that is just not about the windows. By the way, how much was that camera that you first bought?
It was £62,000.
Oh my!
I think the dollar was about 3 to 1 or 4 to 1, but it was something ridiculous,
Yeah,
it was the price of a house.
And she said, "Okay, go ahead."
Yeah.
You know, behind every successful man is a very smart woman who knows when to say yes and also knows when to say no. All right, let's move ahead. Do you ever make a decision as a practitioner now? Because we're trying to help practitioners be honest. But do you ever make a decision that you went, "Oops, shouldn't have done that," and what were the consequences? Okay,
Many times, yeah. But as I say, I say, I give a lot of talks and things, and I talk about poker yoga, mistake proofing, and things. It's what I call concepts I talk about. But I will say I've learned more from my failures than my successes. If I'm being
absolutely.
truly honest, my failures have cost me money, and they've cost me time, but they haven't hurt anybody.
Oh yeah,
And it's very so. I've made lots of decisions based on risk. You know what I mean? So if your decision is one that can cause someone to get hurt, then you better make sure you don't get that one wrong.
right.
Whereas if your decision is part of an R&D type, which is where most of my stuff is now. So I bought a company called Delta T Alert many years ago. Great little sensor, has a sensor on the inside, sensor on the outside, transmits to Delta, sits outside an electrical panel. Fell in love with it. Never really did much with it. Started redeveloping that around eSentry and Delta T. Probably spent a couple of $1 million. And eventually it was like, you know something? If you chase something, especially technology, you're never going to catch it.
That's right.
And I learned that one after a few $1 million, you know what I mean? In England, we have things that's like painting the Forth Bridge. You know, the Forth Bridge goes between England and Wales. And they paint that damn thing. But by the time they finish painting one end, they have to go back and start again because it's a continual. I mean, the thing's probably 3 foot thick with extra paint over the years where they painted it. The thing is, they're continually painting the damn bridge, you know? So when we looked at this, it was like, I am never going to catch up utilizing old hardware and old software and old ideas. So I sat down and I brought in a couple of really smart people into Iris for the IoT space. And I went, okay, the cards on the table, how am I going to get what I want? And they went, you're going to have to scrap all of that and start where you want to be with the new technology, new software, new ideas, etc. So I did. So that was a decision that cost me several $1 million, but it got me to a place where I did it a lot better. I got some very smart people involved. They came in as Iris employees. We started developing our own software, firmware, and hardware. We rebuilt the whole system from scratch. But I built a system for tomorrow, not for yesterday or today. Yeah.
And that is called eSentry.
Yeah. eSentry systems. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been aware of that, and that's the forward-thinking entrepreneur, which is the next interview that we do is going to be about the company and those type of changes and why. Because I think knowing what you're doing, I think eSentry is the next step. Much like the window that you did, eSentry now is the next step. But that's a great, you have it, but you're chasing technology. A lot of people are chasing technology.
Yeah.
And
Don't help, mate.
no, it doesn't.
Wrong eSentry Systems is?
Oh,
I own a company in England, eSentry Systems Limited, that this month is 25 years old.
and it hasn't launched yet. You are either the most brilliant CEO.
But I made some point. I had some really smart kids working for me, young engineers. But we were like 25 years ago, the market wasn't ready. And don't forget, I'm not a software guy or a hardware guy. I love technology, and I'm a sort of from the school of Branson and Jobs and that. It's like just employ smart people and let them do their jobs,
Right.
and learn.
Yeah.
That's
And you have some very smart people who have developed that. So again, we'll be talking about it. But right now, I want to go back to SaRA. As a practitioner, when we first did this, we kind of had an idea of why. I mean, and that's what I really want to get to in your mind, in your head as to why. But to a practitioner out there, somebody who's looking to click a button and just say join, because membership is free. It's not like we're saying, why join and you're paying $1,000. And maybe that's part of the problem. Great value that is given away sometimes is not perceived as great value. But why, as a practitioner, join? Speak right to them.
Currently, there are multiple avenues available to support reliability, sustainability, et cetera, et cetera. Some of these are, or should we say, majority of these are for-profit organizations. All right. Now, I'm a salesman. Yeah, I sell products and develop products for a living. But when it comes to the grassroots, I don't like being sold to. I want to learn. I want to share, and I feel that sometimes I just feel like I'm being oversold all the time, and nothing swishes me off even more. I'm always telling my people off for the same thing. Don't sell to people. You're there to deliver a service or answer a question. when they want to be sold to, I'll ask. If I want something, I want a quote, I'll ask. But in the meantime, can we just have a conversation as two people around the everyday issues that we have? Now, I have found as a working CEO, I spend a lot of time, I mean, I've just come back from India and the Middle East and everything else, where I've just been on the ground with practitioners, just talking about the everyday issues that they have. I learned a few things on this trip. I imparted a few bits of information on this trip. But I think the people that I met with, we left our meetings much better off for it. So with SaRA, or what it was about is like, SaRA is a non-for-profit organization. We know there's things that we want to put back in our industry. I feel sometimes we started with an electrical bias, especially because the electrical safety has always been paramount, but electrical reliability has always been the red-headed stepchild of the reliability world. It's all mechanical and lubrication and everything else. Well, none of that works if the electrical goes off. So we decided let's try and have a forum where you're not being sold to. It's somewhere you can reach out for some help, someone that can actually give you some information if you require it. If and when you want to look for the commercial aspects of it, the people that will share that with you, we've already vetted. And people that come into ours, even the suppliers have to come into SaRA as a practitioner first, the technology first. I don't care what your one does, different to others. That's another conversation. But let's just talk about the benefits of thermography or ultrasound or partial discharge or dissolved gas analysis or all of these technologies. And they're growing daily. And it's a real minefield out there for someone trying to say, I've got a problem with my mechanical or my electrical system. This is what I'm seeing. How would you approach it? And we've got some real smart guys that we brought into SaRA, all volunteers. No one's paid. They're all coming in, giving their time freely, and they're sharing. And these are very, very, very experienced people. So that was, for us, it was like most of us, and even I remember Larry come up to me once. He went, because I was so glad you didn't sell to me. We just spoke about the problem, and I found that far more valuable, and we developed trust with one another that I'm never going to pitch you, mate. You know what I do. You want something, you just pick up the phone and say, Martin, can you help me? In the meantime, let's talk about technology and some of the real neat things that we're seeing in industry. That sharing is I think, going to be the core at the heart of SaRA, that we're all sharing in one common goal, which is more not safety and reliability now, funny enough. It's more sustainability and resilience.
Yeah.
Is where we're coming from. And I had a great thing the other day. I went to a guy, I'm fed up writing checks that my grandchildren are going to pay. I have to take ownership of that payment. So if it's not something that I can control and the check comes to me, then I'm not writing it. And you've got to stop doing the same thing. And that, to me, is what sustainability is in a nutshell. Stop writing checks that your children are going to pay. Take ownership with your systems.
And there's a lot of that going on right now. The Larry that you referred to is one of our co-founders and co-chairs. And I remember the conference where you were educating him, and he came up to me afterwards because we had several what we called approved providers there. And he came up afterward and said, you've got an expo and no one's selling anything. I thought to myself, exactly, they're here to educate, which is the next question. You've kind of answered already. Your company, Iris, not only are you a founder and co-chair, but Iris is an approved provider. That's what other people call vendors. We call approved providers. Speak to another approved provider who would ask the question, well, what's in it for me to join SaRA? And some of the people that you and I both know are like, hey, will I get access to sell stuff to people? And we kind of chuckle and say, nope. But speak to a fellow approved provider. Why?
Well, one of the things every organization has to add value. What's the value piece? So one of the things we're putting together in SaRA is we've got like gap analysis that we're trying to put together from a safety, reliability standpoint, where they can look at verticals within their own areas. You can use that tier score, tier 3, tier 4, 2, 1. Well, we're going to come up with the fact that you can do a gap analysis that's been written by some really smart people. It's very broad brush. This is not, it's not like a full-blown RCM, which can take forever. A few stages, a few simple questions you ask yourself, just trying to find out where you need help. So by people coming in, having that value piece where they can answer some safety and reliability questions about their equipment and the verticals, It will show you where your biggest holes are and what potential technologies you may need. Now, as an approved provider within SaRA, you go in a directory of approved providers. It doesn't matter where I'm an inspection window company. You will not only see one inspection window company. Hopefully, everybody that does it will be in there. You won't only see one infrared company. You won't only see one ultrasound company. But I'm very confident to stand by my product amongst all my competitors and answer the questions that you want. And and most of us as providers will feel that way about our equipment. We can stay on our own merits and give you what you want. So one of the things about SaRA will be is, once you've done your gap analysis or even if you're just shopping, you're interested in the thing, there's a list of approved providers that you can access them, but they can't access you. Because I don't want, and that's what puts me off of a lot of organisations. They get your name, and I'm getting emails from every Tom, Dick, and Harry. And in the end, I delete it because it's a noise, and I don't need that. Yeah, but having a directory, a bit like a Yellow Pages in the old day. Oh, I want that. You can go into the SaRA directory and say, I'm interested in some vibration analysis equipment. Who within SaRA can either provide me with a service, because we'll have service providers, or product, and then you can reach out to them. So what I'm saying to other people like me is, we're going to put you in a directory that the client can access who they want, when they want, how they want. Now that provides value. So if you feel that that's not going to work for you as a provider, you're a schmuck, because it worked. Yeah, it worked.
That's the best bit. You're a schmuck if you don't do it.
It works, mate. It works because we want to build a membership of some real movers and shakers, and the only way we're going to get that trust is that we are providers of information,
right?
Yeah, and we're providers of people that come into SaRA. We're not just going to let anyone come in; they have to be approved. And once they're approved, they're on a list of approved vendors, if you want to call them vendors, and then you can approach them. We'll give you contact names, numbers, email contacts, websites, etc. You can access that all through SaRA, but in the comfort and knowledge is we're never going to give them your name. The only people that will contact you about SaRA is SaRA, the SaRA team, to make sure you're getting what you need, letting you know about webinars, seminars. So, as a vendor also, we'll give you the ability to do webinars and seminars on your technologies and sharing that with the membership. That's another way of you approaching them. But if you're looking for someone that's going to send you a mailing list, SaRA's not your organization. If you're looking to become part of an organization where you're a valued member, you are a member as well, even though you're a member, you're going to learn from people. You can ask questions of the membership. We're looking at putting this new technology in. How do you think that would work for you?
That's a big component of what we want to do, is the two-way feedback from the marketplace, from the practitioners. So if you, as you say, thinking of something, or, most companies, if you want to be market-centric, you got to know what the market wants, needs, and is thinking. Yep. One of the things that I know we're working on right now is when you go to that directory, you can either click on a button and it takes you right to that approved provider's website and all their products and all their services. That's between you and them. Or you click on a button that says, educate me.
Yeah.
And that provider then can teach you about the technology, about changes. And so allowing the providers to have a space where educate me comes first, we think it's a safe place, as you say. The recent surveys in engineers who are purchasing people, specifiers and purchasing people or procurement people, 70+%, and I don't know exactly, I want to say 79, but it's high 70s% of the decisions that people make about what to purchase technically is made before they ever talk to a salesperson. They do research. You want to be a place where people can come and do research. Excellent. Lastly, obviously you've just shared why you're passionate about this. Your legacy is you don't want your grandkids to have to pay for checks that the sustainability. Obviously, you're a futurist thinking about what's coming in the future, but if you could say it in the shortest amount of time, you're on an elevator and I'm going up with you and we're going to the 82nd floor and it's a slow Otis elevator, okay? You have some time, but you don't have an hour. Why are you passionate about SaRA?
For me, SaRA is that conduit that isn't it's not about making money. It's about bringing a group of like-minded individuals together to learn from each other. I mean, we know people that are lifelong sharers. But lifelong sharers are also lifelong learners. So I need somewhere where I can ask a question and I'm not going to be bombarded by 27 emails about buy this product, do this product, attend this conference, do that and the other. So SaRA is my place to go where I can reach out to my peers and ask them a question and know I'm going to get an answer to that question based on the merits of the question and not just trying to add products to it. So it's that place, it's that area, and especially parts within our industry which are underserved. So electrical systems reliability is a big area of that. And emerging technologies, where can I find out about emerging technologies without being sold to? So that's what SaRA is to me. It's that hub of knowledge and excellence that I can reach out to when I just need some info.
Well, we started thinking about SaRA a year ago, almost. It was almost the day a year ago that we said, hey, maybe we ought to get the gang back together from an old organization that we were part of, the Electric Power Reliability Alliance. But they're in exactly what you're saying. That was a for-profit company and kind of left a bad taste in our mouths because we had always assumed it was going to be a not for-profit company and serving the industry. And we are a 501c6. And as Martin says, we're an all-volunteer organization, even though we have a coordinator and a new membership partner person who's come on as part-time staff, and that's what they are, to help get us organized. SaRA is by practitioners, for practitioners. Safety and reliability, and now I wish I'd put sustainability into there, or you and I just messed on that. We missed it.
No, listen, I have ODSR is something that we say, operations driven safety and reliability. That's what that was. Now I call it ODSR squared. So it's operations driven safety, sustainability, resiliency, reliability, which is ODSR squared runs really better, but it's like it's like safety, reliability, feed, sustainability, and resilience. They are, but if you bundle this all in a model, it's like one end washes the other. So, yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
I have just used a Venn diagram or in my own handwriting, and I've sent it off to have it created. And we've got safety, reliability, maintenance, and got all like these 5 different things. And at the center of it, I gotta put a button. And I think the button's going to be sustainability because it all fits in.
The button could be resilience.
Okay,
we'll do only because people now, because of COVID just really opened the can of worms, and it's how vulnerable they were. And now, because of the vulnerabilities that COVID brought to the forefront, people say we have to be resilient. So when another pandemic happens or another natural disaster happens, we have systems built in that we can get through these within their own structures. So resilience is a massive thing there. I mean, Iris, I don't sell maintenance. I think we sell resilience.
As my daytime job is the managing editor of APC Media. So we're part of IEEE PES, we're part of Distributech, we're part of a lot of these organizations that focus on the power industry. And sitting in planning meetings and sitting around a lot of people that are we just organized a conference called the TechCon conference. Sitting around all of these people, the 2 things I hear the most about right now are resilience and sustainability. Why resilience? Is because what you just said, natural disasters are not just Florida and California, fires and hurricanes. They're everywhere. You've got, right now as we speak, you've got tornadoes whipping through the Midwest earlier than they've hit before. They normally come around May, June. They're earlier than they've hit before. And people are dying and power lines are down. And then you've got ice storms that are knocking down trees in the South. Fires in California we've just been through. So the reliability is keeping the power on. Resilience is getting it back on after you've had an event, whether it's COVID or anything else. Resilience without sustainability is wasted money, wasted time, wasted energy, wasted effort. I'm with you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being part of it. Thanks for being my brother. I appreciate you, Mark. Thanks much.
It'll be fun.
Bye.
Bye.